Good morning. I will now call the February 12th meeting of the Educational Professional Standards Board Waiver Committee to order. I am joined this morning by fellow committee members Corinne Murphy and Lisa Rosinski. We have 8 waivers to review and formulate a recommendation to present to the full board. The waivers will be presented by Sharon Salzman and Brandon Harrod. Ms. Salzman, could you present the first waiver?
So this one is to waive the emergency certificate requirements for Powell County. They have been unsuccessful in finding qualified teachers for an elementary school position. They've struggled to find qualified teachers for multiple positions. This candidate has been conditionally admitted into Masters of Arts in Teaching program with stipulations to increase the GPA. The candidate holds a bachelor's degree in human services, and the district is requesting that the EPSB waive the required GPA and issue an emergency certificate.
Is there any discussion? I'll make a motion that we approve waiver A. The candidate has a 2.3, which usually we approve those.
Yep.
All righty, so waiver A, we will recommend to the full committee to support waiver A. Moving on, Ms. Salzman, to waiver B.
So this is to waive the out-of-state recency requirement for Kimberly Hayes. She has taught in Tennessee for over 20 years. She's a level 5 teacher and holds a valid Tennessee license. Recently moved to Kentucky and accepted a position as an elementary school. She completed her teacher prep program in 2001 and has not completed any graduate credits within the past 5 years. She plans to take the letters by Lexia classes and will have more than 6 hours, but it is a 2-year program and not available to start until the spring. So she requests that we consider her previous experience from out of state to waive the out of state recency requirement of 6 graduate hours.
I make a motion to approve that waiver.
A second, is there any discussion? Okay, so we will recommend waiver B. Moving on to waiver C. Any spousal, Ms. Salzman.
This one is another out of state recency requirement, and this is for Stacy Ricketts. After teaching for 1 year in Indiana, she was hired by Jefferson County Public Schools Adult Education. She taught multiple subjects over 13 years to hundreds of students. She completed her prep program in 2003, passed Kentucky Praxis exams in fall of 2023. She requests that the EPSB consider her previous experience to waive the out-of-state recency requirement of 6 graduate hours.
I have some issues with this one. My concern about this one is there was only 1 year of previous actual certified teaching experience, is that my understanding? And then the rest of it has been in teaching, but in an adult education. And she was issued a 1-year provisional to get the hours. Is it possible to issue like a second? I know we do like the provisionals as they're working toward things. Is that possible to do a 1 year, or would we have to do the 5-year?
So it is possible to reissue the conditional or the provisional to do the 6 hours. Now, anyone that comes before you with the waiver request for a 408, they have been issued that 1-year certificate to complete the hours. What the board has said going forward and what your precedent has been on this is that if they had consistent teaching experience, that you did want that to qualify and to exempt them from those hours. However, this one is different.
Yeah.
So that is the decision that you would need to make here, but we can approve a 1-year extension to complete graduate hours.
They did pass the praxis though.
Yes. And that was a recent passage, correct?
2023.
Just my question. The experience under in a certified position, 1 year.
She would still with the 5-year or 1 year have to get the additional 6 hours.
With the 5-year, she would not. With the 5-year, she would be subject to the standard renewal requirements that everyone else
Teaching
is.
3 years.
With the 1 year, she would have to complete 6 graduate hours. Sharon, I'm sorry, I can't remember. What was her certification area?
That's what I was thinking.
That's because we have There are some instances where the board has looked at while they weren't in a certified position, there's still additional teaching experience that you have allowed to qualify. Again, this one is a little different because it's adult ed. So ultimately, it is your decision, and we will take that into consideration in drafting revised regulation.
So did we have a motion?
Questions? Remind me what district she's working for? Jefferson County. I make a motion to approve the waiver as submitted.
I'll second. And of course, we can have additional conversation with the full board. Brady, moving on to waiver D, the waiver for tenure residency requirement for Praxis. Ms. Salzman will present a summary of the waiver.
So Jessamine County submitted a waiver request on behalf of Tasha Crane to waive the 10-year test recency requirement. Ms. Crane took the English language arts praxis in 2011. She completed all the certification requirements in 2013. But according to them, the university failed to recommend her for the English language arts certification. She was recommended and received certification for social studies. She didn't realize the issue until this year. Jessamine County Schools and Ms. Crane are asking the EPSB to allow her previous English language arts praxis to sport to qualify for issuance of a certificate.
Do we have a motion on waiver D?
Okay. Second.
Moving on to waiver E, alternative teacher certification placement. Brandon, is your turn.
Thank you all. So as stated, this is an alternative student teaching placement request that was submitted by Morehead State University on behalf of Lindsay Blevins. She's an art student at Morehead State University. They're trying to find an additional placement for her at the elementary level, but they're having difficulty doing so because there's not as many or very many full-time available art teachers in her area. So they're requesting that she have her second placement at the middle school level.
Do we have a motion for waiver E?
I make a motion to waive E. Second.
Alternative student certification placement, also presented by Mr. Harry.
So this one is submitted by Morehead State University on behalf of Grace Douglas. They are a similar art student that is trying to find an additional placement, and they're requesting a middle school placement instead of elementary placement.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Alrighty. Also, alternative student teaching placement request presented by Mr. Harry.
Yes. Yet again submitted.
G. Okay, thank you, sorry. I'm so many arts. Only art.
This one again was submitted by Morehead State University on behalf of Corn Ewan. It's an art student that is trying to seek an additional placement at the elementary level, but they're having difficulty and are wanting to seek a middle school placement.
Have a motion.
Make a motion to approve waiver G.
A second. And our last motion, request to waive cooperating teacher eligibility requirements. Mr. Harris will also present a summary for this way.
So this was submitted by Morehead State University. They're having difficulty finding a placement for, I believe it was LBD. They have a letter from the superintendent of Morgan County that has a candidate that has 2.5 years of experience at the time of the placement. There's strong support from the superintendent for this cooperating teacher candidate. They have also 109 years of professional learning to go along with their 2.5 years. And so they were wanting to request that a placement be made for this teacher, and they waived the 3-year requirement to do so.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay. And was I mistaken? Was that G? Or we finished? That was H. Okay, just making sure. So,
That was G.
that's what I thought. I thought it was G. That's because they were all so similar, but we still had H to do.
Okay, sorry. So, yes.
The cooperating teacher one was waiver A.
So did we skip G? Am I confused? Did we do G? I mean, they were
Yeah.
almost identical.
Yeah, we did G. G
Okay.
was Corn Ewan. Another.
Yeah, they were all exactly. And then this one was the last.
We are, and then there was the.
No, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
That was H.
It was it?
Yes.
That's what I mean. No, it's just because they were all the same.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Three in the piece. So, are there any more questions or discussion? Hearing no further discussion, at this time, the waiver committee meeting is adjourned.